Heyo and welcome to another episode of Build&Battle Season 2, our Manor Lords Let's Play, where we will build a beautiful medieval city while battling off bandits, brigands, and no-good doers. In the last episode, we began developing our two new settlements of Pinedale and Moonbright by providing the settlers with basic necessities, housing, food, and lumber production. In today's episode, we're going to continue building Moonbright and Pinedale by establishing our inter-territory trade and growing the settlements with enough people to mass produce that sweet iron ore we went to war for, and hopefully begin exporting it to New Namruth. So if you are interested in watching us set up a successful inter-territory iron ore trade, then stick around until the end of the episode. So let's start today's episode in Pinedale, and I want to start by selecting our first development point. I think I'm going to actually change up our strategies on this territory and begin by selecting the charcoal burning development point and making our way towards the deep mining node. The deep iron mine and fertility are the most attractive pieces in Pinedale, so I think I'm going to use the fertility to feed the people and export as much iron ore as possible. So let's jump on in and let's grab that node first. Next, let's add some more housing so we can employ our farms, our iron pit, and future trading post. I think I want to add room for maybe about 12 families for now. This is a huge jump, so hopefully our farms will be able to keep up with that, but I'm also going to be adding some chicken coops, hunting camps, and forager huts, just in case the farms can't sustain the growing population. Next, let's get the trade post up and running, and I think we are going to do our usual build and put this right next to the center of town where our logistic units and marketplace is. For this settlement, we are going to build the trade post for now and leave the livestock post for either another settlement or another day, as I don't see us needing it in Pinedale specifically. So let's come on in, let's grab that trading post. And I almost kind of want to place it right here. Alright, next let's establish our trade routes, and I want to focus on inter-territory trade between our own settlements. Pinedale in particular will have a heavy export of iron ore, so I would like to come in and uncheck the trade routes with outside connections. Later in the episode, we will review New Namruth's trade routes and ensure that they are the only settlement actually importing the iron ore from, their friendly neighbors. So let's jump on in here and let's just get all of our trade up and running. Next, let's get some more food sources for Pinedale, as our year's supply of food is just about spent. I would like to build the windmill and communal oven we had initially intended to construct last episode. I also would like to construct a hunting camp and a forager's hut. So let's jump on in and let's get those up and running so as our population starts trickling in, we can employ them right away. So I actually remember a few episodes back, someone had mentioned in the comments that we can actually build 2 mining pits on top of one ore deposit. I want to do just that, so let's wiggle our iron ore deposit around a little bit and make room for a second pit. This way, once we have the deep mining node, we can be swimming in that iron. Next, onto Moonbright. I want Moonbright's main trade to actually be in the commodities such as shoes, herbs, candles. What else do we have in here? Dyes, for example. These more luxury goods themselves. It's a bit of an experiment since I want to see how these luxury items play a role in the settlement. So I would like to start our development tree in Moonbright with trade logistics, which caps the cost of establishing a trade route to about 25 regional wealth. Next, I really like the small city center design we have going around this windmill, and I want to expand on it just slightly while being mindful of the aesthetic look we have going. So let's add a few more houses in, ensuring we have enough space to eventually add some artisans. And I'm going to be very careful with how many we build, as we have way more space than we currently need. So I don't want to overtax our supplies here. All right, and for the Moonbright trading post, I actually want this to be close to our city center, but also close to the King's Road so the traders have faster access to the building. So let's find a nice area where we will be able to sort of balance out the transport times. I think when I'm looking at it from this angle, I think right down here might be actually kind of perfect. Yeah, I think I would like that pretty well. Next, let's come on in and establish those trade routes. So for Moonbright, I think I want it to be a mainly, what's the words I'm looking for? I want it to be a trading hub specializing in commodities, luxury goods, and just, you know, a hub for artisans in general. So I am going to allow for trading outside with outside connections here. So if we come into our commodities, we're going to keep trade routes established with the outside connections. I will come in and cap some of the luxury goods so we can watch how the goods affect our people, as well as, our wealth as a bit of an experiment. So let's just come on in and let's find all the luxury goods. All right, now with our 2 newer territories in a better spot for winter and winter approaching, I want to focus on our older territories, starting with Rivermouth. I want to start leveling up the burgage plots in this area so we can start collecting taxes from the residents. So to do this, we need a church and then a manor house as well so that we can actually start collecting those taxes. So let's start with snuggling in a church first. Wow, okay, I actually really like how the wooden church looks in a farming settlement situation. Anywho, let's move on to getting the manor house in so that we can start collecting the taxes. And I do think we are also, with this manor house, we're going to add the garrison tower. Because honestly, I really want the ability to have more retinue. So since we have so many unassigned families in Rivermouth, I think we should capitalize on the surplus of labor by adding more fields and potentially another farmhouse. So let's jump on in and start laying those out. I do really want to get more barley produced in this area, as the more barley we produce, the more Rivermouth is going to export it to New Amruth, and then more level 3 burgage plots will be ready for us to upgrade over in New Amruth. Alrighty, I figured since we have given all our other territories some growth and tender loving care, I figured we might as well jump into Cordovia and see how the food giant of our kingdom is doing. And Honestly, it's not doing too bad, but I think I would like to start adding a few more apple orchards and chicken coops just so we can continue providing New Anamaruth the surplus food. So I'm thinking I want to add some more housing with chicken coops and maybe some more orchards. I'm kind of thinking about 4 more orchards, but we'll decide during the time lapse. I'm definitely going to be using the corpse method. So let's jump into that time lapse, add another neighborhood using the corpse pit method, and trace out our apple orchards and chicken coops. Alrighty, there we go. Since we are increasing the population in Cordovia, I want to make sure we leave enough food for the territory first before they begin to export it all to New Anamaruth. So let's kind of just come on over here and let's take a look at the trading post. And there's actually a part of me that kind of is debating getting a second one. So let me know down in the comments whether you think a second trading post might be beneficial so that we have more than just 4 people running back and forth between the territories. I'd probably set up a second one in Cordovia and New Anamaruth first, since those are our most established territories. In the meantime, let's come on in here and let's just increase everything up to 150, just so that we leave enough food in Cordovia. All right, looking good. And finally, our capital city of New Anamaruth, vibrant and brimming with life and plenty of growth still to come. One growth opportunity I want to take advantage of right now is actually the development point that we have. So let's jump on in and let's grab the next node along the armor making tree so that we can beef up our army a little bit more. Next, we've just spent this whole episode setting up trade between the new territories and New Amruth so that we start importing ore from our own territories. So that means I do want to actually come into the trading post, and I want to eliminate the ability for New Amruth to purchase or trade iron ore with outside, what's the word I'm looking for? Outside territories. So let's just come on in here. Let's find our iron ore. And we are going to keep it as import, but we're going to disallow foreign trade. I'm then also going to jack that up very, very high here. We'll just go up to 1,000 like everything else. That way it's just kind of at the highest capacity possible. Well, at least possible for now. And this should start importing the iron ore from our outside territories. And like I said, I'm kind of debating getting another trading post, one in Cordovia and one in New Amruth. And I'm almost kind of thinking of placing it here so that we have faster transport to the territories. If I actually zoom out from the map here, putting the new trading post right here, so that we can get to Moonbright, Rivermouth, and Pinedale a little bit quicker. All right, back in on our trading post here, I also want to adjust our exports from New Amruth, specifically in our military arms. So if we take a look up at our current supply, we have a decent amount of, shields, war bows, sidearms, etc. I want to start exporting these to bolster up New Amruth's regional wealth. But I need to make sure we are leaving enough as well for our actual army. So if we come in here, we have about 36 people per unit, and each unit, it needs about 36 of each item. So that means, if I'm doing my math correctly here, we want to make sure we always have about 72 arms on hand. I'm going to just round this up to about 100. That way, as people unfortunately pass away in the glory of battle, they can come and replenish, lost stock. So let's jump on in here and let's set everything up to export, keeping a desired surplus of 100 for everything. Now that we have the trade situated, I want to come on in and upgrade another one of our burgage plots to accommodate the production of actual mail armor. So this plot right here is currently creating helmets. So I am thinking we come in here. We'll upgrade this one to the Armorer's Workshop, and this one will become chainmail. All right, and then while we're waiting for the Armorer's Shop to be upgraded, let's upgrade this row of burgage plots as well and see if we can get them up to level 3. Alrighty everyone, I think that just about wraps up today's episode. Today we continued to expand upon our territories with a focus on imports and exports. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please hit that like button, and if you're excited to see the next episode, then consider subscribing so you are notified when the next episode airs. Until next time, I hope you have a phenomenal week.